Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're peeling back the layers on a really monumental career. We're looking at Megan Mullally. Now, she's someone, known globally for one incredibly specific, iconic character. But the sources we've gathered, they show this career built on, well, honestly, staggering versatility, often quite surprising.
Yeah, it's much broader than people might think.
Exactly. When you say Megan Mullally, you immediately think Karen Walker, right? The abrasive, martini-swilling, just chaos-inducing assistant on Will and Grace.
Totally. Unforgettable character.
And the sheer volume of awards just for that role? I mean, it's enough to define anyone's career. 8 Emmy nominations, 2 wins, 7 straight SAG nominations.
Unprecedented, that SAG run.
Right. But our mission today, really, is to look beyond Karen Walker. We want to explore the decade starting way back in '79, this commitment that sustains her. A career that spans, serious theater, music, film, TV hosting. It's a lot.
It really is.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're basically looking at an artist who managed to navigate this huge shift from, classical stage actor to massive sitcom icon. And then pivots again into this ensemble specialist role in all these great shows. How does that kind of lasting high-level success actually happen? That's the core question.
Well, I think what's fascinating here, looking at the sources, is using Mullally almost as a case study. A case study in, let's call it, strategic artistic pivoting.
Okay.
Because that consistent acclaim, decade after decade, it's not luck. It seems rooted in this really rigorous, disciplined foundation she built, long before she ever landed a big comedy role.
You mean before Will and Grace?
Oh, way before. She didn't just, stumble into physical comedy. The sources show years of meticulous physical training, specifically really intense ballet and theater work.
Ballet?
Yeah, exactly. That training allowed her to approach a character defined by chaos, like Karen Walker, with just absolute technical precision. It's that discipline, I think, that turned the chaos into, well, a performance masterpiece.
So the foundation she built was almost deliberately non-comedic. Yeah. Grounding her later success in that discipline.
It seems that way. It provides the control needed for the comedy later.
Okay, so let's go back. Back to the beginning. We need to understand what informed that relentless commitment you're talking about. Right, so she was born in Los Angeles, California, November 12th, 1958. Now, you might assume L.A. native, automatically immersed in Hollywood from day one.
You would think, right.
But her early life involved this pretty significant geographical pivot, took her away from the coast.
That's a really excellent point. Her parents gave her an early link to the industry, sure. Her father, Carter Mullally Jr., he was an actor, had a contract with Paramount Pictures back in the 50s.
Okay, so there was some connection.
There was. But, and this is key, when Megan was 6, the family moved across the country, actually, to her father's home state, Oklahoma City.
6 years old.
Yeah.
That's a big move.
Huge move. And it's subtle, maybe, but important. She didn't grow up right under the constant gaze of the California industry. It probably gave her a different perspective, maybe more grounded.
Interesting. And the sources mention her ancestry.
Yeah, just for context, English, Irish, and Scandinavian roots noted.
Okay. But regardless of where she was living, the training she started, incredibly serious, focused on the most demanding physical arts, really. The depth of her background in dance is, frankly, staggering when you think about her later comedic persona.
This is absolutely crucial. You really have to grasp this to understand her performance approach. She started studying classical ballet at age 6.
Wow, 6?
And look, this wasn't like a Saturday morning class for fun. She was dedicated enough to perform with the Oklahoma City Ballet all through high school.
That's serious commitment.
It gets more serious. She pushed it further, trained at the School of American Ballet in New York City, which is, highly prestigious.
FEB, yeah, that's top tier.
Exactly. It's one of the most elite classical ballet academies, period. It demands flawless technique, intense physical endurance, absolute mental discipline. It's an environment that just drills into you that precision is everything. Non-negotiable.
Okay, so she's got this foundation of just grueling physical discipline. Then she seems to move towards a more intellectual path, balancing that physical training with academia.
Indeed. After high school, K-City School, she chose Northwestern University, Evanston, Illinois.
Great school.
Top school. And she went to study English literature and art history. So yeah, a very serious intellectual side there. But that foundation of physical rigor, it pretty quickly dictated where her career was headed.
Right. And then came that definitive moment, the pivot to professional acting. which meant she had to ditch the academic track, right? She didn't finish her degree at Northwestern. That's a big call.
Huge call. And it speaks volumes, I think, about her singular drive. After just her sophomore year, she started acting professionally in theater, downtown Chicago.
Sophomore year, while still enrolled.
Initially, yeah, but this wasn't just like a summer gig. It was a full commitment. And her dedication just escalated so fast that by her what would have been her junior year, she was already performing in 8 different shows a week.
8 shows a week.
8 shows, week after week. In the Chicago theater scene, which is known for being intense, like kind of unrelenting pace, it forced a choice.
So she dropped out.
She dropped out of Northwestern entirely.
Right.
To pursue acting full-time. That kind of high-stakes, all-in approach, sacrificing a top-tier degree. It just shows her commitment to performance wasn't just a preference. It felt like a necessity for her.
Wow. That intensive theater training. Doing 8 shows a week. That must have been the perfect incubator, right, for the kind of precise, high-energy character work she'd later be famous for.
Oh, absolutely. Theater forces you to project, to command a space, sustain energy without any cuts or edits. It prepares you for the long haul. And it's a direct link, I think, to the stamina you need for a grueling sitcom schedule later on.
Okay, so she makes this huge leap, leaves Northwestern for the acting grind. But success, especially financial success, wasn't instant, right? This is that classic hustle phase, the part that really separates talent from longevity.
Totally. The sources point out she was doing everything, right down to commercials.
The commercial circuit.
Exactly. That era, the 80s, it was all about building credits wherever you could find them. And we have this great little piece of trivia. One of her very first spots was a McDonald's commercial.
Okay.
And guess who else was in it? A pre-fame John Goodman.
No way. Goodman and Mullally in a McDonald's ad.
Yeah. It just shows you the level of talent kind of bubbling up on that commercial audition circuit back then.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, and then came the TV grind. She was essentially working character actor, right? Just honing her craft, guest starring on seemingly everything.
Pretty much. She landed her series debut in the Ellen Burstyn Show. That was 1986. But the real masterclass, like you said, is that list of guest spots that followed. It's a literal who's who of late 80s, early 90s TV.
Like what?
Seinfeld, Frasier, Wings, Mad About You, Third Rock from the Sun. Just shoot me. You name it. If you needed a sharply written female character for one episode, she was on the list.
That variety must have been key.
Crucial. All those different roles let her practice different comedic timing, different dramatic beats. It gave her this huge skill set, prevented her from getting typecast early on.
Now, looking back, especially through the lens of, Will and Grace money, it's easy to forget the sheer terror, the financial instability she faced during this hustle period.
Oh, yeah.
There's an anecdote she shared about murder, she wrote, that really grounds that reality.
The story is essential context. It really gives you the emotional weight behind her eventual breakthrough. She talked about reaching a point, late 80s, where she was in just a complete panic about making rent. The jobs had dried up.
Been there. Well, maybe not murder, she wrote, level, but...
Right. Then she gets a call. Guest role on Murder, she wrote. Season 5, an episode called Coal Miner Slaughter. And the role paid $5,000, which, when you're facing eviction, is massive. Her reaction, she said she literally fell down onto her knees and testified and wept.
Wow. Just pure relief.
Exactly. That moment of just financial rescue, it shows the high stakes for actors working their way up. It wasn't about fame, then. It was just survival.
And speaking of pivotal moments, we absolutely have to talk about 1989, the near miss, the one that could have changed her entire career and maybe, arguably, the whole TV comedy landscape.
Ah, the Seinfeld moment. Yes, 1989. She tested for the role of Elaine Benes.
Just pause on that. Megan Mullally as Elaine.
Right. Now, obviously, the role went to the incredible Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Perfect casting. But the fact that Mullally was seriously in the running, it shows she was already seen as a major comedic talent, someone capable of carrying a huge show.
But think about the what if. If she had gotten Elaine.
Exactly. Would she have ever been able to fully create Karen Walker almost a decade later? That's the fascinating question.
Did she maybe dodge a bullet? Being locked into Seinfeld, which ended in '98, maybe it kept her available for Will and Grace, which launched that exact same year.
It's a really sharp point. Seinfeld was a machine, right? Elaine was a brilliant but maybe more defined character by the writers. Karen Walker, though, she feels like a character built from the ground up by the performer, fusing that theatrical training, the vocal flexibility, the physical nuance Mullally had honed. Maybe that delay, all those guest spots, let her develop a unique performance identity before hitting the absolute jackpot.
Makes sense. We should also quickly note, she was balancing this TV grind with some early film work, too.
Hmm.
Again, that theme of versatility.
Yep, absolutely. Started with a memorable small part in Risky Business. 1983, she played a call girl.
Right, I remember that.
Then she kept adding credits. Films like Once Bitten, Last Resort, About Last Night in 86. These weren't leading roles, not blockbusters, but they show she was actively working in different genres, teen comedy, drama, even while focusing on paying the rent with those TV guest gigs.
Okay, so all that groundwork. The ballet, the intense theater training, the TV guest spot grind, the near misses. It all culminates in 1998. The role of a lifetime arrives.
The perfect storm.
NBC sitcom Will and Grace, that's the platform. And Karen Walker, Grace Adler's abrasive, pill-popping, hilariously awful assistant, that was the character that just seized the zeitgeist.
Oh, completely. She wasn't just a supporting player. Karen Walker was a phenomenon. And the industry recognition, the awards, it wasn't just substantial. It was unprecedented in its consistency.
And this is where that physical discipline, the ballet training we talked about, really comes into focus, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Karen Walker is a character built on constant, controlled physical reaction. The posture, the way she holds herself, the sudden lurches, those exaggerated gestures, it all requires a dancer's precision to make it look that chaotic yet deliberate.
Let's break down the numbers because they really tell the story of her dominance during that era. First, the Primetime Emmys. Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series.
Right. She got 8 nominations overall just for playing Karen Walker. That covers the original run, 98 to 2006, and she even snagged another one for the revival in 2018.
And the wins?
2 wins. First in 2000, then again in 2006, right at the beginning and then right at the end of that original run, which kind of confirms she maintained that incredibly high standard throughout.
But the real insight, I think, into the industry's respect actors recognizing just how hard that performance was, that lies with the Screen Actors Guild Awards. Her record there is just, wow.
Totally agree. SAG awards are voted on by her peers, actors voting for actors, and the support for her was just unwavering. She got 7 consecutive nominations. Outstanding performance by a female actor in a comedy series. 7 years in a row.
That run alone is remarkable.
But the winning streak, that's the aha detail, the thing you really need to remember. She won 3 years in a row, 2001, 2002, 2003.
3 consecutive SAG wins.
Yes, and that cements her status, right? She is the first of only 2 actresses in the history of that specific category ever to achieve that 3-year winning streak. It just underscores how dominant she was perceived to be during the peak of the show's popularity. And on top of that, she shared the SAG Award for Outstanding Ensemble in a Comedy Series in 2001 with the core cast. Eric McCormack, Deborah Messing, Sean Hayes, recognizing that amazing chemistry they all had.
Okay, and for completeness, we should mention the Golden Globes, too.
Right. 4 consecutive nominations there as well for Best Supporting Actress from 2000 through 2003. So yeah, across all 3 major awards bodies, Emmys, SAGs, Globes, she was recognized as this definitive, indispensable comedic force of that time.
And that genius, that character, had such legs. When the show came back for the revival 2017 to 2020,
3 seasons, yeah.
she slipped right back into Karen Walker, effortlessly, proving the character was timeless, not just stuck in a certain era.
Absolutely. Enduring appeal.
Now, beyond her own performance, she also quietly had this significant influence on the industry behind the scenes. The story about Bill Hader. One of those great unsung moments. Star power, spotting future star power.
Yeah, this is a fantastic anecdote. Happened in 2005. Mullally saw Bill Hader performing with his Second City class out in L.A. She recognized that raw talent immediately, and she personally brought him to the attention of Saturday Night Live producer Lorne Michaels.
Wow, she made the call.
She made the connection. And we all know what happened next. Hader becomes one of SNL's most successful, versatile cast members ever. His career since then has just exploded. That one introduction fundamentally changed modern comedy's trajectory, really. All thanks to Mullally having an eye for talent outside her own show.
That's incredible. And finally, maybe the highest stamp of cultural approval for Karen Walker came in 2005. She received the Women in Film Lucy Award. This feels like it moves beyond just comedy praise into cultural impact.
It's hugely significant because the award was given specifically for her innovation in creative works that have enhanced the perception of women through the medium of television.
For Karen Walker.
For Karen Walker, think about that. Karen, unapologetically selfish, politically incorrect, pill-popping, millionaire socialite, was recognized not as some negative stereotype, but as a groundbreaking, complex representation of female agency and, well, irreverence. She totally broke the mold of what a successful or even acceptable woman on TV had to be like.
So after achieving that level of iconic status with Karen, the biggest challenge for any actor is, what next? Reinvention.
The post-icon pressure, yeah.
And for Mullally, she went immediately into this really high-stakes pivot attempt.
Yeah.
Daytime television.
Bold move. The pressure after Will and Grace ended must have been immense. And trying to transition into a traditional talk show format, that was a serious risk. The Megan Mullally Show.
Right. It ran 2006 to 2007, did about 71 episodes, then got canceled.
It showed her fearlessness, though, willing to jump into a format totally outside her usual wheelhouse. But maybe it revealed that her unique, kind of edgy, specific persona wasn't the easiest fit for that broad, daytime syndicated audience.
Yeah, maybe the timing was off, or the format just couldn't contain that wild energy we loved in Karen.
Could be. It felt a bit restrained.
But the hosting gigs didn't stop there entirely. She clearly enjoyed being the person in charge, facilitating.
Seems like it. She hosted Saturday Night Live, guest hosted The Late Show with David Letterman, hosted the TV Land Awards back in 2006. So she was still occupying that central celebrity space while figuring out her next big acting move.
And her next move turned out to be brilliant in retrospect, becoming this definitive multi-role specialist, popping up in all these niche, high-quality ensemble comedies. She sort of redefined what a character actor could achieve after hitting icon status.
Absolutely nailed it. And we have to start with Tammy Swanson II on Parks and Recreation.
Oh my God, Tammy too.
Pure comedic genius. Especially because it tapped into her real-life relationship with Nick Offerman, who played Ron Swanson.
That meta-comedy aspect was just perfect.
One of the greatest examples in recent TV history, I think. She guest starred 7 times, playing Ron's second ex-wife. Just this hurricane of sexual and emotional destruction.
Hilarious and terrifying.
And the acting challenge there is intense. She has to be completely different from Karen Walker, more overtly physical, maybe more genuinely dangerous, less sophisticated, but equally commanding. And casting her opposite her actual husband just amplified that chaotic, almost primal energy in their scenes.
She was just everywhere in that comedy ecosystem in the early 2010s, wasn't she?
Totally. She guested 3 times on 30 Rock as Bev, the overly serious, hilariously passive-aggressive adoption caseworker dealing with Liz Lemon.
Oh, Bev, yes.
That's a completely different flavor of comedy, right? Dry, contained, intellectual almost, compared to Tammy II's physical explosions.
And then there's the cult classic, Party Down.
Ah, yes. Co-starred as Lydia Dunphy, appeared back in 2010 and then came back for that fantastic revival in 2023.
Lydia's another distinct character.
Completely. This delusional kind of stage mother archetype obsessed with her daughter's non-existent career. Her ability to just pivot between the high-octane chaos of Tammy, the contained neuroses of Bev, and the desperate delusion of Lydia, often in the same year. It just highlights her extraordinary technical range.
We shouldn't forget the animated and, genre work either. That requires a totally different kind of performance discipline, purely vocal acting.
Good point. She co-starred for years, 60 episodes, as Chief on that satirical Adult Swim series Children's Hospital, which is very sketch-based, anarchic comedy.
Right.
And she secured this long-running, really beloved recurring role on Bob's Burgers, voicing Aunt Gail.
Aunt Gail. Everyone loves Aunt Gail.
Across 24 episodes so far, Aunt Gail is one of the show's most iconic, eccentric characters.
Yeah.
Sweet, deeply weird, utterly unique, and add to that her recurring role as Penny's mom, Dana Hart's, on Happy Endings.
She's consistently the go-to.
Exactly. The person producers call when they need an actor who can deliver these highly specific, often absurd, but always memorable character portraits.
Okay, shifting to film during this post-Will and Grace period, was she still keeping that commitment to diverse genres going?
Definitely maintained the variety, yeah.
Wow.
She took roles in acclaimed indie dramas like Smashed in 2012, The Kings of Summer in 2013, proving she wasn't just limited to sitcoms.
Right, showing dramatic chops.
So she balanced that with mainstream comedy, too. Played Barb Fleming in Why Him in 2016.
Okay.
But her most recent film choices, they really define that fearless versatility we keep talking about. She starred in a coming-of-age film, Summering, in 2022, pretty standard fare. And then she took this massive, exhilarating leap in 2023, starring in the R-rated movie Musical Dicks. the musical.
Okay, that title alone.
It's a very subversive, boundary-pushing film. She played Evelyn, the boy's mother, opposite Nathan Lane and Megan Thee Stallion.
What a cast.
Right. And the key detail here, she sang all her own songs on the soundtrack, full-on musical performance.
So you have an Emmy-winning, universally beloved sitcom icon known for relatively family-friendly NBC stuff, starring in a deeply R-rated, probably quite polarizing musical comedy.
That's the definition of a career risk, something only an actor totally secure in their versatility would even attempt.
It shows she's still driven by the challenge of the work itself, not just coasting on past successes.
Exactly. And it connects her right back to those stage roots. She's not afraid to be live, raw, maybe even a little provocative.
So to really understand her whole career ecosystem, we have to circle back to her origins, her commitment to Broadway, to the stage.
Yeah.
It's been this unbroken thread throughout all the decades of TV success. It proves those rigorous roots were never abandoned.
It really feels like the constant return to the source material for her. She made her Broadway debut way back in '94 as Marty in the revival of Grease.
Okay.
Then, crucially, 1995, she starred as Rosemary in the big revival of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, opposite Matthew Broderick, that really cemented her legitimate musical theater credentials early on.
And even after Will and Grace made her a household name, a global star, she went back to Broadway. 2007, right?
That's right. She took on the role of Elizabeth in Val Burke's original musical, Young Frankenstein.
Not a big show.
And the sources confirm she's featured on the cast albums for all three of those major Broadway productions: Grease, How to Succeed, Young Frankenstein, which just reinforces. She is a serious, trained vocalist and stage actor, not just a TV star dabbling.
Her work off-Broadway and in regional theater seems to get consistent praise, too. Often award-winning praise, which is something not many TV stars achieve when they return to the stage.
That stage work really shows her enduring commitment to the craft itself, I think. She won 2 pretty prestigious local awards, the LA Weekly Theater Award and the Backstage Wes Garland Award for her performance way back in 2000 in Chuck Mee's The Berlin Circle.
And that production is significant for another reason.
Exactly. That's where she met Nick Offerman. Then, a decade later, 2010, she won another Backstage Wes Garland Award, this time for her work in Adam Bach's play The Receptionist. That run apparently achieved the longest sellout in the history of the Odyssey Theater in LA.
Wow. And she cackled iconic musical roles, too.
Yeah, showcasing that versatility again. She played Miss Adelaide in a big one-night-only concert version of Guys and Dolls, opposite Nathan Lane, at Carnegie Hall, no less. That was 2014.
Carnegie Hall, wow. Even recently, she was planning a major stage return, wasn't she? It didn't quite happen.
Yes, unfortunately. She was all set to star as the lead, Reno Sweeney, in the big 2021 London production of the classic musical Anything Goes at the Barbican Theatre. But tragically, she had to withdraw due to an injury just before opening.
Well, that's rough.
It is. But that desire, even in her 60s, to tackle these massive, demanding, singing, dancing, leading lady roles, it just shows the theater really remains her North Star.
And that singing ability, it isn't just for Broadway stages. She has this whole parallel career running in music, right?
Absolutely. She was a member of a band called Supreme Music Program, SMP. They released 3 albums: The Sweetheart Break-In, Big as a Berry, Free Again.
3 albums. That's substantial.
Yeah, this isn't just some celebrity vanity project. This was dedicated musical output.
And maybe more prominently now, there's Nancy and Beth.
Right. The band she co-founded with Stephanie Hunt back in 2012. They've toured across the U.S., even went to Australia in 2019. It's this serious side commitment that just confirms her professional identity is split across multiple artistic streams. And you can see how the music and the stage work directly feed into the acting choices she makes in things like Dix, the musical. It all connects.
Okay, now we definitely need to spend some time on the core relationship that's also become this major professional brand. Her extensive and clearly very effective collaboration with her husband, Nick Offerman.
Ah, yes. Offerman and Mullally.
Their partnership is basically, I don't know, a self-contained, high-performing media ecosystem. Is that fair?
Laughs. That's a great way to put it. It really is a masterclass in modern creative branding. They met, as we said, in that crucial year 2000, acting together in the Berlin Circle, which speaks volumes about their shared commitment to theater. And they got married 3 years later, 2003.
And their collaboration has touched pretty much every medium she works in.
Completely. We already talked about the controlled chaos of their work on Parks and Rec as Ron and Tammy. Unforgettable.
Legendary.
But they've also appeared together in films like The Kings of Summer and that indie drama Smashed. They share a lot of voice work credits on series like Bob's Burgers, The Great North, and the movie Hotel Transylvania too.
They seem to pop up together quite a bit.
Most recently, they starred together in season 4 of Netflix's The Umbrella Academy. That was 2024, playing Dr. Jean Thibodeau and Jean.
And it extends beyond acting, too, into literature and new media.
That's the sort of shrewdness of the brand they've built. In 2018, they co-authored a book, The Greatest Love Story Ever Told. It hit the New York Times bestseller list, gave people this glimpse into their romance and their artistic connection.
Right.
And since 2019, they've been hosting their own successful podcast, In Bed with Nick and Megan. They've just leveraged their chemistry, their shared interests across literally every available platform. It really secures their dual relevance in the industry for the long haul.
And just for context, the sources mention her 2 previous marriages.
Yes, to James Thomas Hines from 1982 to 1987, and then to talent agent Michael Catcher from 1992 to 1996, just underscoring that the Offerman relationship is her 3rd marriage, and clearly the most creatively symbiotic one by far. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've just charted there. If we kind of zoom out now, the story of Megan Mullally. It's one that starts with this incredibly serious, grueling dance training, transitions through that brutal financial grind of guest spots, the hustle years, then explodes into this unprecedented award-winning sitcom success.
Global success.
Global success, and then sustains itself through this relentless commitment to diversification across Broadway, music, animation, hosting, edgy independent film, you name it.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, maybe the key takeaway is this. The discipline required to maintain perfect technique in a ballet studio. That's the exact same discipline that allows an actor to deliver technically precise chaos night after night in a character like Karen Walker or Tammy Swanson II.
That control underneath the chaos.
Exactly. That meticulous background rooted in that physical and theatrical rigor. That's the engine. It fuels her longevity, her adaptability across all these different mediums. She's really living proof that versatility requires this rock-solid, non-negotiable foundation.
Which really raises an important question, maybe something for you, the listener, to think about after this. What other television icon, someone who achieved that level of global fame for one single character, has successfully navigated such incredibly diverse mediums? Music, theater, hosting big comedy shows, starring in R-rated movie musicals, while maintaining such continuous critical recognition from their peers.
It's a short list, if there is one.
It really might be. Her career just proves that mastery in one area, especially something as demanding as the stage, can fuel this fearless diversification and lasting success. In pretty much every area she tries, the pivot truly is the power.